All right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and our annual Vintage Madeira tasting just happened. Every year in November we put on this tasting, or try to. You know, these wines, the dinosaurs of the wine world, are some of the hardest wines to sell in terms of our tasting. Some years it sells out, some years we don't get enough interest in it, but I put it on because I love these wines. They have a special place in wine history, especially the history of this country, because, well, back in the colonial days, they used to drink a lot of Madeira here in this country. You know, we don't like to pay taxes in this country, and everything we got from continental Europe, the colonies had to pay tax on to the Brits. However, the ships that came up from Africa and hit the island of Madeira to get this wonderful elixir did not have to pay tax on that. So when Betsy Ross was knitting on her flag, she was nipping on a little Madeira. When they were toasting the Declaration of Independence, they toasted with Madeira. And the taste has changed, and also the power of money is so great that today nobody keeps wine in cask for 100 years, or plans to keep wine in cask for 100 years, because they're not thinking about 2 or 3 generations down the road or what the wine's going to taste like, because they're going to be dead. They want to cash in and get their money immediately. And hey, I can't say that I blame them. However, I do love these wines. They are like magic, like time in a bottle. Our oldest wine today, the 1827, John Quincy Adams was a president when the grapes were grown for that. All these people are dead that had anything to do with making these wines. And like I said, they are very special wines to me. Madeira is an island, means wooded place, and the island is a volcanic island, and they think the nature of these wines, the acidic nature is due to the volcanic nature of the soil, but also one of the rulers of this island decided, hey, I want to clear some of these woods, so we're going to light the island on fire. And 7 years later, most of the island had burned down, and they say that burning of all the trees also has something to do with it. But it's an island that they grow fruit. You know, wine is not their major thing they do, and a lot of people pulled up some of these old grapes, even the Tarentaise, the rarest, because they planted banana trees because they could get 2 harvests. Anyways, very special wines. We're lucky to have the biggest collector of Madeira in the world here in South Florida, Dr. Bob Malner. And we started out with a little Solera wines. We started out with an 1870 Cercial and then a Verdejo. Those are the dry styles. Those are the name of the grapes. And the Cercial and the Verdejo were fabulous with this scallop dish that my wife made with a lime and orange gremolata, that orange zest you really notice in these wines. We notice the citrus in them. These wines are very acidic. That's one of the reasons they last for so long. The 70 had this distinct bouquet of like iced tea, kind of tobacco, little sweet fig and date-like fruit, very zesty, that lemon zest showing on the finish, and that iced tea quality as well. Most excellent juice. All the wines on the table, most excellent in my opinion, which is 95 points and up on my scale, which I don't rate wines with points, just emphatic expressions. My 1870 Verdejo, and this one had a beautiful bouquet, some roasted nuts here, molasses, baking spice, coffee, figs, dates, a bit of that rancid oak character. What I mean is when you keep wine in oak for a long time, it tends to get maybe a little sour kind of character, rancid. But after you open these wines up, they lose that. And I opened these wines up Tuesday morning for a Friday tasting. Then I decanted them again the morning of the tasting. And we're going to taste these wines all again in January, a few months from now. And if you'd like to come to it, it'll be up on the calendar. They say these wines are even better after they're open for a few months. So always something fun if we don't sell out this tasting to be able to taste them again a few months later. This Solera is a wine that they age, and the date on the bottle is not. All of the grapes in the bottle come from 1870. That's when they started the Solera, and this is no longer being made, the Soleras, because it's illegal. You can't do a Solera of longer than 20 years, I think now, which is pointless to do it. Anyways, the 1862 up next, one of our old dogs, one of the rarest wines on the table, the Tarentaise, was a crowd favorite, as it always is. It got 6 votes for first place, making it wine of the night. Just an exotic nose in this wine, the HMNB, HM Borges is the name of the house. And a lot of these houses don't exist anymore because there's 3 main houses that pretty much make up all of the sherry today. And this wine just had an incredible bouquet, coconut, mocha, nutmeg, cinnamon, dates, figs, chocolate, just an incredible complex bouquet for such an old wine. This is a vintage Madeira, so all the grapes in this wine came from this vintage. And wow, just an array of delicious fruit on the palate here. That zesty orange and lemon citrus, those coffee and mocha and chocolate, fudge-like notes lasting through the finish. Killer juice, and not unanimously the wine of the night. Hey, the 1870 got 1 vote for first place. The Verdejo. The 1934, wow, this wine was exotic. Maybe a little bit too young, though. 1934. Wow, very incredible. brown spice in the bouquet, smoky tobacco notes, that deep fudge character really showing, really rich and layered on the tongue, lots of brown spice, a firm hand of acidity holding everything together. Most excellent juice also. And then the 1827 Quinta de Cerrado, one of the most famous old Buals. This wine was put in demijohns in 1935 for the first time. This wine got 1 vote for first and 3 votes for second, making it the second most popular wine. As I mentioned, John Quincy Adams was the president when this the grapes for this wine was grown. And this wine had an array of that exotic spice, had some delicious dried fruit character to it, that dates and figs, and a wonderful backbone of acidity. To me, maybe starting to lose a little bit, showing a little bit of funk to it, but still incredible, and had that characteristic freshness, that citrus on the end, leaving the tongue salivating for food. And this was great with that oxtail dish that Tony did. She braised in Madeira and then served with a Beamster Gouda and little pecans that were candied in there, just brilliantly paired with the 1827. Also, it was great with the Tarentege. Those are my 2 favorite with that dish. And then up the 1863 Miles Momsey. This is a Malvasia Solera brought by Doug Martin. Thank you very much, Doug. You know you're getting extra when you come to an event when Doug is here. Of course, you're getting Chateau Yquem, but he brought Chateau Yquem, Dal Forno Recioto 94, and this 1863. Thank you very much. Very generous of you. This wine got 4 votes for second place, no votes for first, putting it in third place, and still had wonderful richness, wonderful concentration, that dried fruit, that fudge character, a little smoky note to it, very complex. Very long finish, that orange zest showing at the end. Wonderful freshness. And the last 2, the 1990 Barbietto Malvasia, still a baby. This wine needs time, but a good amount of still a lovely freshness, a good amount of fruit, that figs, the dates, the mocha, a little bit of iced tea kind of note here, that dark chocolate and fudge. Really lovely complexity. This is destined to be a great wine and destined to be around another 100 years or more. The 1952 Moscato, all the grapes are white except for one, which we didn't have, the Bastardo, the only red grape, unfortunately, on this evening. But the Barbietto, still very young. This Moscato kind of had a more exotic floral note to it, but had that dried raisiny fruit character to it, and lemon and orange zest on the finish, and wonderful length here. This wine is still a baby. And of course, like I said, 2000 Chateau Yquem. What an incredible evening. And then the 94 Dal Forno Recioto, drinking at its peak. One of my favorite old vintages of Recioto. What an incredible night. Thank you very much to everybody who attended. And hey, those of you that want to come to the next one, check out the calendar for January. It's coming up in 2015. We'll drink all these wines again. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.